some reason you guys can't hear me, make sure that you let me know by going ahead and commenting and letting me know what's going on. Using a new software today, so we are testing this out. If you guys can't hear me, make sure you let me know. Not you, Instagram. Instagram, we're using the same old. All right, guys, so today we're talking about a topic that I'm really fired up about, and that is all these myths and things going on about Instagram and how it's hard to get leads on Instagram and how it's just out there to go ahead and really to promote yourself and maybe branding, but not really for lead generation. So we're going to go through 7 myths today, and again today we are live both on our Facebook page as well as our Instagram. So if you guys see me looking away, I'm still looking at somebody. So it's awesome to have you here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kristina Centnere, and I'm the founder of Total Wellness Connect, and I'm also the host of the free community called Wellness Marketeers. That's where we help wellness practitioners just like you guys learn more about marketing, and we are specifically focusing on Instagram because it is the #1 platform for wellness right now, and not just being out there on Instagram, but actually generating leads from Instagram as well, okay? In the caption, especially for you guys on Facebook, you will notice that there is an invite for you for a free webinar. It's really a masterclass because I will be spending about an hour talking about the different ways that you can generate leads on Instagram, specifically in terms of wellness professionals. So make sure that you guys check it out. If you're on Instagram, you're going to be able to find it in our Wellness Marketeers group, so you can go to the link in bio as well. So let's start with the #1 myth. And let me just check real quick because we do have a comment and I want to make sure that you guys can hear me. Myth. And let me just check real quick because, okay, we do have a comment and I want to make sure. Awesomeness. All right, Lisa, I will go ahead and try and speak a little bit louder. Is that better? You guys let me know if for some reason you can't hear me or any of that good stuff, all right? Okay, so the #1 myth is that it takes too much time. Now here's the thing. Hi there. If you have a plan or a strategy for anything that you may want to do, okay, you realize that it takes that much less time. Think of the last time that you had a day that you just didn't plan for, right? Everything just seemed to go so much slower and you're just exhausted because you had to think on the run, right? The same thing is with Instagram. If you don't have a plan, if you don't have a strategy of where you are going with it, guess what? Right? It's going to seem like you're taking so much time. But if you have the strategy and if you have the tools and if you really have a plan with what you're doing for it, then you would be able to go ahead and see that it really doesn't take that much time at all. In fact, I don't spend more than 10 hours on business stuff, business related Instagram. I spend plenty of time on my personal one, but not on the business ones in terms of actually generating leads on there and being present on there for business, okay? #2 is that it's impossible to get referral traffic. Now I'm actually going to grab my phone real quick and I'm going to show you guys something that's actually pretty impressive. So just hold on and I'm going to show you something really neat. Now, a lot of people say that, well, because you can't include links into your Instagram captions, there's no way that you can actually get people to go from your Instagram page or your Instagram post to your website. So there's no referral traffic, as they like to call it, right? Well, that, putting it nicely, is BS. And I'll show you guys exactly why that is so. So on our Total Wellness Connect page, that's where you guys are on right now. I'm going to show you how many clicks we got in the last 7 days, okay? I'm going to go with Facebook here first. So as you guys can see, it's 161 website clicks that we got, okay? 100, and that went down a little bit because we changed up our strategy. You always want to be testing stuff, but 161 clicks to our website going from the Total Wellness Connect Instagram page, right? So as far as not being able to drive traffic from your Instagram to your website, that's incorrect, all right? So that's a myth busted right there for sure. Number 3, and there's 7, so I do have my notes with me. Number 3 is that your customers aren't on Instagram. Guys, there are 500 million daily users on Instagram, okay? And wellness, along with fashion, are competing for the #1 spot of businesses that are on there actually generating leads. Now, here's a common sense question for you. Do you think they would all be going to Instagram if it wasn't making sense for them, or if they weren't making money off of it? No, right? So wellness and fashion are the 2 top ones that are constantly competing for the #1 spot in terms of using Instagram to actually grow their business. So yes, your customers are absolutely on there, especially if you are in the wellness field. Now keep in mind, even if you're watching this, you somehow got on this and you're not in the wellness field, your customers are likely there as well, because even credit card companies come up with creative strategies, right? It all starts with strategy on how to interact and educate people through Instagram, and therefore drive their business through this awesome platform as well. So, number 4, a lot of people are worried about being spammy with their hashtags and their comments. Now, comments can be a little tough, and that's one of the things we will be discussing in the webinar, so you guys want to make sure that you sign up in terms of not being spammy or whatnot. But one thing I can tell you, you're never going to please everybody, okay? There are going to be people who are going to be excited that you commented on their stuff and you're actually providing value to what they're doing. And then there are also going to be people that complain that you just commented and, you know, whatever. They're just not in a good mood, okay? It could be anything. But in terms of being spammy with your hashtags, right? Because as many of you may already know, you have 30 hashtags that you can put per post. Okay, so if you are putting those hashtags in, you are more likely to get people to see your post. Now, it is of course important to use the right hashtags that not only drive traffic but actually relate to your post, but that's something we're going to go over in the webinar as well. So as far as being spammy, guys, unless you have 1 million followers, and I'm telling you right now, I don't even have 1 million followers, use those hashtags to the max, right? There's no Instagram jail. That's another myth. There's no Instagram jail for using hashtags that actually go ahead and relate to your posts, that can also help you grow your audience. So don't feel that you're being spammy. However, there is a beautification way of using those hashtags, and that's to actually go ahead and separate them from your actual post. Now, what I like to do is just to put 3 dots in between my actual post, my content, right? And then dot, 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 and then I put my hashtags in there. So that way it really separates it. Nobody can really see it unless they click on more. And even if they do, that's what Instagram is for, right? We know that how we grow on Instagram is through hashtags. Another little trick is that a few days after your post has already basically expired, meaning that, you know, it's getting as many likes as it's really going to get, or the most amount of likes it's going to get at this point, you can go back and delete your hashtags if you really want to look good about, you know, posting on Instagram. But there's no shame in using that. You're not being spammy in that way. All right, guys. Number 5. So some people think that their service or product is boring. Now, being a marketing professional, I can tell you that I haven't met a company yet that has a boring product, and I've worked with a whole range of them. It's again going back to strategy, and you guys are going to hear me say that a lot because that's where it really starts. It starts with making sure that your strategy and your branding, which is part of that, is on point, right? What does that mean? That means that we have to come up with a creative way to get you guys whatever product, service it is that you provide that relates to your customers, that shows that you are different from the next guy or gal that are doing the same thing as you, right? Because you are all unique. Every single one of you is genetically unique, okay? There's no clone of you there. So that means that the way that you present your product or service should be unique as well. And it all, again, starts with strategy. Number 6, it's too difficult to monitor analytics. You guys just saw me show you the analytics on how many website clicks we got from our site, from our page to our website, right? Took me 2 seconds. Now, of course, I know what I'm doing, right? But the analytics that Instagram now has for every business page are super accessible. And that's another thing we're going to be talking about in our webinar, because it's important for you to know where you're going, but it's also important for you to assess of where you actually are and what you're doing with that, okay? So analytics are super important. And other ways to track analytics, including Google Analytics and even Facebook Ads Analytics and things like that. But in terms of going ahead and just keeping up with your Instagram page, super easy. It's all there, and it shows you when to post, who is following you, meaning their demographics, how many clicks you're getting, how many profile views, so on and so on. It even shows you something very, very important, which is which content was most engaged with, which content got the most impressions, because you want to know which content you're actually going to, which content you should post more of so that more people engage with you, right? So, and number 7 is that Instagram is just for spontaneous posts. Now that is an old myth, right? Because Instagram, right? It started in order for people to post something that is right away, right? It's just something that happened, and they wanted to go away from the planned, pre-scheduled, sometimes boring posts. But the thing with Instagram, even though there's no software that will allow you to schedule the post and just let it go and it's going to schedule it for you, there is now software which allows you to schedule the posts, get the notification, and then you can manually go ahead and press post, okay? So, but again, we're all going back to strategy. We're going back to ground zero. If you have a strategy, there needs to be a plan to execute it. And part of that plan is not always being spontaneous, right? It's about driving the traffic. It's about building the audience, and it's about building that relationship with your audience as well, okay? So those are the 7 myths. Now, what do you guys do to go ahead and start getting your Instagram ready for lead generation based on the myths we just talked about, all right? 1, start looking at how your posts look, right? Do they really represent who you are? Look at the colors, look at the filters that you're using. Are you just kind of snapping and putting it on there? Snapping, But are you just putting on whatever it is that comes to mind on there, or are you actually, does it actually represent? Can your best friend look at that post and be like, oh, it's so him or so her, right? If they can't, then there's some work to be done on branding, which starts with strategy, right? And that's one of the things that I focus on a lot in our upcoming Instagram course. But the second thing you guys need to do, which something you can do right now, is going to take you like 2 minutes, is to get onto that free webinar. The free webinar that we are hosting is more like a masterclass, because we're going to be spending a lot of time talking about these lead generation tools, as well as the overall look of Instagram. And it's going to go ahead and give you a really 30,000 foot view, as I like to see, on what you need to do in order to get next. Now, I'm not going to send replays of this webinar. I will only send replays of this webinar if you register and you show up live. So even if you are just there for a couple of minutes, that's the only way that you guys are getting a replay. And the reason for that being is that I want you to be present. I want to know that this really is going to make a difference in your lives, and I know it will, because for us it has made a huge difference in our lead generation. For those of you that haven't noticed, that weren't at the last live, we were able to go from 2 leads in 6 months to 145, something like that, 144 leads in just 30 days. And that's, I'm talking strictly Instagram, okay? Now this was after I was like ready to give up on Instagram. So you guys want to join that webinar, you want to know how it is that you can go ahead and drive that traffic. And number 3 thing that I will tell you to do today is check out your analytics. Now, if you have a personal account, not a business account, You want to make sure that you convert that, okay? And then you're able to go ahead and access your analytics. So at least you have a benchmark of where you think you are, okay? And when you get on the webinar, you're going to be a little bit more familiar with what it is that Instagram is all about, okay? And where you are with Instagram as well. So for those of you guys on Instagram, I'm going to go ahead and type in the link for the free webinar so you can register. Those of you guys on Facebook, it is right in your caption, so you actually can click and register there. It's going to take you 2 minutes, so make sure you do that. Thank you guys for joining us. We're going to be going live again on Thursday, and we will be talking again about some stuff on Instagram as well. So I will see you then. Have an awesome rest of your week. Bye. And